On the 25th of July, the government announced the co-arrangement proposal in order that this arrangement can be debated in this council and support can be given. Suddenly, the stamp duty amendment bill was withdrawn to give way to this non-binding motion on co-location. In this chamber, more than half of members come from the pro-establishment camp. So it's very highly likely that that motion will be passed, will be supported. So people have been criticizing that the withdrawal of the stamp duty amendment bill is problematic. When the motion was moved, the Carrie Lam government said that the co-location have been the subject of discussion for more than 2 months, and according to open opinion polls, more people are supportive than those who are not. It's time to wrap up. But there was no public consultation, and the opposing voice is rather strong. Some people really doubt whether there is a public mandate for this co-location proposal, and is this arrangement going to benefit Hong Kong as claimed? The government is just trying to impose this on us. And who will bear the adverse impacts if there are problems because of the government has violated the basic law or has undermined the spirit behind the basic law system? These problems and legal disputes have not been fully addressed, and now we are asked to discuss this motion. Originally, the three-step process will only be initiated after this motion is passed, and that is in the first step for the SAR government would going to come up with an agreement by spending a month or so, and then there will be the decision and approval by the MPC Standing Committee, and then February next year, there will be the local legislation, first reading, second reading in this council, and before this council adjourns in July, the local legislation will be passed into law. And it's expected that in the third quarter of next year, the Hong Kong section of XRL will be commissioned. A few days ago, the CE suddenly said that she wouldn't rule out taking the three-step process forward in parallel because of the short lead time before commissioning of the XRL. So in other words, the government is asking this council to act as a rubber stamp. Why don't you allow us a decent opportunity to discuss the matter? Because after the government proposal was announced, there are people in the community who have looked into it rather seriously, and they have concluded that this will be in serious violation of the basic law articles and the spirit behind the principle of one country, two systems, and they have come up with alternatives such as 2 ICQ facilities on both sides, or mainland officials are only responsible for ICQ-related duties in Hong Kong. A few years ago, there was the question as regards whether the station should be in West Kowloon and not in, should it be located in the NT? And of course, that's history. That's the past.
Now, many who oppose the government arrangement are not against Hong Kong being linked up with the national high-speed rail network. They're against the co-location arrangement because because the details are in the devil is in the details. That's why. So on this highly controversial issue, the government should provide full and accurate information. Second, the government must conduct public consultation. So on the government's proposal and all the other options, the government could have a full understanding. They could compare all the options. They could compare the pros and cons, the economic benefits, the traveling time, the feasibility of the construction costs and so on. And then the government should collect all those public views, and then government could come up with some option that is acceptable to most. So we've been waiting for the CIQ proposal for a long time, and this time round the government just announced it so late, and then they expect us to endorse it so soon. It's not fair. Now after the Carrie Lam or Frank Chen, that is Secretary for Transport and Housing, have ignored all demands for public consultation. They said that the alternatives proposed are nothing new, they're not pragmatic, and they would not talk to groups holding different views. They just try to push through the government's proposal. We see a lot of APIs on TV and so on the co-location. They just say that this arrangement is convenient to the public, it benefits the long-term development of Hong Kong. But it's not true that as long as you say it, it's a fact. Whether it's a fact, it should be debated. So you don't do consultation, you don't give us the information, we don't see the whole picture. How can you convince the public? Yesterday when I spoke on the motion to adjourn, I said that for responsible government, it should conduct comprehensive consultation on any major or controversial issues. Now, I represent the education sector. I need to collect views of my sector on the co-location arrangement, so I conducted a survey to try to find out the views of our members. So through the Professional Teachers Union, we conduct a survey on our members through a telephone survey. It's a recorded message. We ask 3 questions. 1, whether they support this proposal, and if the proposal is implemented, would it undermine their confidence in one country, 2 systems and the basic law. And the 3rd question is whether there should be consultation. In the past 13 days, we managed to interview 835 members. 70% are serving teachers, 30% are retirees. We covered primary, secondary schools, kindergarten, special schools, and so on. So I believe this survey has high reference value. Let me give you the findings. First question: if members support co-location at the West Kowloon terminus where mainland laws will be enforced. And this is the result. You can see from this the different views are very, and the ratio of the different views is close. Very much support plus rather support 40%. Very much against rather against 43%. So 3% more. For the rest, no specific views. So these survey findings are quite similar to the other findings we've seen. So therefore, we can see the survey findings are credible. 3% could be due to statistical discrepancy. So we can't say that there are far more people objecting than those supporting. But then at the same time, we see very clearly there are split views. Very much against 30%, very much for 26%. Very much against or very much support. You see the distribution like this. And so that means if we are to make a decision, and we see 30% of very much against, and that could lead to polarization in the community. Our second question: what if we go ahead with co-location? Would it undermine confidence in one country, 2 systems and the basic law? Would it then strengthen or undermine confidence? Now, for those who think it will strengthen confidence, that's just 18%, less than 20%. But undermining confidence, that's 50%. So, for people who support the co-location arrangement, for some reasons, they also think that if the proposal is endorsed, it will undermine their confidence in one country, two systems and the basic law by quite a margin. So shouldn't that be something we pay attention to? And there are 35% who think their confidence will be substantially undermined. So this is something we have to face up to. Why is that? Well, in our simple survey, we may not be able to identify all the causes, but one of the causes could be this. Our third question is whether there should be public consultation on the proposal. Those who think there's no need for public consultation, 15%. Those who feel strongly there should be public consultation, 50%, 49% rather. And there are some who think there should be public consultation. So together, 65% of the people believe there should be public consultation. So even if I support your proposal, I think you should first consult me before you make a decision. So that's a fair view of our members. Some are for, some are against, but the majority believe there's a need for consultation. If there's not even consultation, then their confidence in the basic law and one country systems will be undermined because you are steamrolling your way through. So we have some 90,000 members. So I believe this is a representative view. After analysis of the data, we see that in a democratic society, public participation is important. Public consultation is the most effective means to allow public participation. Mr. Lam Chak-ting said that if you come here to move a non-binding motion, that shows your respect for this council. But really, I think we should show our respect for the public, and that's by doing a systematic public consultation. Now, if the government doesn't do proper and comprehensive consultation on a major issue, it would just be selective in its consultation, then it's possible it could make a wrong decision. Maybe after consultation, the decision could still be wrong, but at least we'll all be held accountable, and we'll show the consequences together. But now, without consultation, it's the government's responsibility in making a decision. And also because people have not been engaged, they will have resentment. Now, there are plenty of examples: demolition of the Queen's Pier, the Palace Museum, or the Wangchao development, and so on. These are all examples we'll remember well. Now, we want the government to do proper and public consultation, and we can understand why easily. So I hope the government will respect the views of the public, and this is an earnest demand from them. Before the Chief Executive delivered a policy address, I, as usual, published my vision on education in relation to the policy address. And I said then the government must attach importance to an effective and systematic communication mechanism. In making policies, ample opportunities must be allowed for stakeholders to get involved. Now, yesterday we talked about the BCA report, and I stressed and I questioned why the government would not consult those with strong opposing views. This is not a desirable practice. If there is consultation, the government should keep an open mind. It should be forthcoming, so all views could be allowed to be expressed. And then you could take on board public views, you could tap into collective wisdom, and then you could forge a consensus. Well, because people may have different views, but at least after discussion they'll agree to something. So whether there's discussion or not, it makes a huge difference. Thank you.